The January 6th committee suggests it has evidence that former President Trump violated multiple laws by attempting to prevent Congress from certifying his defeat in the 2020 presidential election. For more on this, I'd like to bring in William Banks. He's a professor of law at Syracuse University. Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it. The House Select Committee says that former President Trump was part of a, quote, criminal conspiracy around the 2020 election. Legally speaking now, what does that mean?
It's an important and complex problem to unravel, Jody. The conspiracy part, of course, is fairly straightforward. Most people understand that it takes two or more individuals to agree to undertake a criminal matter. Here, there are two aspects to the January 6th matter that may personally reach President Trump. One would be whether he incited the crowd to move to the Capitol and break in and violently attempt to obstruct the proceeding in Congress. That incitement, if it was proven, could be criminally culpable for former President Trump. Second thing is that if he intended to obstruct the certification of President Biden's election in the Congress on that day, that's a separate crime because it is a federal crime to obstruct a congressional proceeding. In both instances, investigators and eventually prosecutors would have to prove that the president specifically intended for those things to occur. It's not an easy task. It's a formidable burden for them.
Yeah, it's a lot. You know, we've been talking about this all day. The committee plans to unveil a lot of new material. We'll hear from new witnesses, new documents. They don't have the power to prosecute, as we've pointed out. How much, though, of a legal threat beyond these hearings do these hearings pose to former President Trump?
You know, it's only with regard to those two potential crimes that I mentioned a moment ago. Yeah, I think the more important thing that's going on with regard to former President Trump in these hearings is to establish in a broader way the historical record to hold his administration culpable for fomenting what went on surrounding the election itself and then in the weeks leading up to and including January 6th. I personally think it's unlikely that President Trump is going to face legal consequences in the criminal courts as a result of his actions leading up to and including January 6th. He's got other legal vulnerabilities, as we all know. But it's more important, I think, for our democracy and our society to establish that a terrible wrongdoing was done to the country on that day and in the planning for it that occurred prior to January 6th.
You know, we're just about 5 minutes out now from the hearing started. I'm curious, what are you going to watch for? What do you expect to come out of these hearings?
I think the hearings are going to be another important component of establishing a historical record. It's really about preserving the most important institutions of our democracy. Certainly, the transition from one elected president to another is fundamental to the success of our democratic society that we've had now for nearly 250 years. And when that comes under threat, as it did just this past year, I think the whole world pays attention. So it's important to cement the historical record that a terrible wrongdoing occurred, and then perhaps more importantly for this committee and the entire Congress to begin to shore up the processes and institutions that can help assure that this doesn't occur in 2024 or 2028 and beyond.
Well, we're showing live pictures now of Capitol Hill as both reporters and lawmakers start getting settled into their seats. As we continue to watch that, I want to thank you, William Banks, for being with us tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you.